So Epic just dropped a surprise trailer on us this past weekend. Unreal Engine 6 is coming, and Rocket League is going to move to it. They haven't given us a lot of details about this new engine, but I'm pretty sure if we just look at it, we can determine that this is actually the path-traced version of Unreal Engine, not Lumen. I'll go over why I think so in a little bit. So hopefully this turns out to be a pretty short video, but my plan here is to tell you about what do we know for sure about Unreal Engine 6. Then I'm going to do some speculation and we'll talk about the path tracing stuff. And then we'll get into a little bit of discussion on how it's going to affect game developers and the industry as a whole. But before we get started, please take a second to like the video, and if you'd like to see more of my content, subscribe. And so now, what do we know about Unreal Engine 6 so far? Well, mainly that Rocket League is going to be on it. I mean, that's what the reveal trailer back on Sunday showed us. And of course, we know Fortnite's going to get it too. It showed Fortnite at the end of that trailer, along with a few various modes within Fortnite. But we'll get into that in a minute more. But yeah, Rocket League is going to be moving to Unreal Engine 6. And it looks way better than it used to because it's been running on Unreal Engine 3 up until now. And they didn't give us any info on a timeline on when it's going to become available, when they're going to make this move. So it could be sometime late next year when supposedly we're getting new consoles. It could be 3 years from now. It's kind of up in the air because they haven't told us exactly when it's coming, but I get the feeling it's coming probably within the next year to 2 years. And that also means that some of the games we already know about that are being developed on Unreal Engine 5, like The Witcher 4, they'll probably get ported over to this newer version before they end up releasing. And now the other thing that we know for sure is that the main focus of this new engine isn't graphical improvements, it isn't some kind of new instancing technology or anything like that. The main thing, as we've heard Tim Sweeney say multiple times now, is to take Unreal 5 and the Unreal Engine Fortnite editor and combine them into one. This most likely means that Epic's going to be trying to coax developers into releasing their games through Fortnite instead of standalones, because it seems they want to turn it into a launcher rather than have it be its own game. I mean, that's kind of where they've been for the last few years with all the creative modes and stuff that they've introduced. And it seems likely that you'll even have to install Fortnite to play Rocket League. It's very likely. And then lastly, the other big change that we know about is that Unreal Editor for Fortnite uses a brand new scripting language called Verse, and that same language is going to be front and center in Unreal 6. It is a higher level language, kind of like a Python Ruby type language instead of C++, so it should be easier for developers to get into, in theory, but it's a change, right? And it's a new language, people have to learn that, so we'll see how quickly that gets adopted. However, it could be a big boon for smaller developers and indie developers that are trying to get in and maybe don't have the ability to do C++ because it's not the easiest language to work with. And in addition to that, there's a screenshot out there that shows a URL in the top of the screen that starts with verse instead of the standard HTTP that we would see on a website, implying that the other big push is metaverse stuff. Tim Sweeney is still all on board for the metaverse, even though the rest of the world has kind of moved on from the concept at the other failed attempts at trying to move us into some kind of sci-fi era that they think is a good thing, even though the book that the word comes from was quite negative. But yeah, all that aside, I think you will still be able to release standalone games if you're a developer, so I don't think you're going to be forced into that. They're just going to be pushing it really hard. So now for the thing that I find most exciting, the whole reason I'm making this video today, is that I'm pretty positive that what we saw in that little teaser is Unreal Engine running in path tracing mode. Unreal 5 games have famously used the Lumen system. It's a very powerful tool. It lets all kinds of GI effects and things happen in games that weren't really possible in most other engines beforehand, but those technologies rely on software ray tracing. You can use hardware ray tracing now, but most games aren't even supporting it yet because Lumen is designed to work with the current generation of things. With PlayStation 5, with the Xbox Series X, it is not trying to target the 5090, even though that's what it seems sometimes you need to run this thing at a good frame rate. Lumen and Megalights are both designed for Generation 9, And then this new engine is going to be designed for Generation 10, the upcoming PlayStation 6, the Xbox Helix, and, all the new GPUs and stuff that are going to be coming along with that in the PC world. The reason that Lumen has been so awkward is because it's really a transitional technology that was never supposed to be a permanent thing. It's supposed to just kind of give us a taste of the future before we could hit this point where we can actually do real ray tracing and fully path trace the scene. And I think that's what we're seeing in this demo here. Now, there was a developer conference where they gave a talk about a year and a half ago, and they were showing off the NVIDIA RTX branch of Unreal Engine 5. In that, you could run it in a path trace mode with all kinds of ray tracing enhancements and enhancing Lumen, not completely replacing it, but greatly enhancing it and letting you do things that you couldn't really do before. You should be seeing on your screen some images from that. And now the reason that I'm telling you that this is the truth is look at the reflections, look at the sheen, look at just how it feels when you look at the shininess of this little ball guy walking around in this scene. This demo scene is meant to show off a scene with zero indirect lights. Everything is using emissive surfaces is what they're showing off here, which is pretty powerful stuff. But pay attention to the shininess and the texture of that little dude. And then now we're going to look at Rocket League. And the sheen on those cars feels eerily similar to me. Maybe it's just my eyes, but it looks like it's a very similar rendering. And so that's why I'm here to tell you today that I'm pretty sure this is path tracing that we're looking at, even though they haven't said it yet. Additionally, I'm pretty sure that PlayStation 6 and Generation 10 are going to bring about path trace games on consoles. I just did a video about that last week, and this is going to allow us to have Unreal games that can run across the generations. There's going to be a big cross-gen period when PlayStation 6 comes out, and thanks to Lumen and this new path trace mode, you'll be able to have these games run pretty well across both, but in different ways. On a high-end GPU, PS6 or the Helix, you should see this new path traced variation of things. But if you're still playing on a PS5, PS5 Pro, then it'll fall back to Lumen as the legacy rendering technology to get you by. And now, according to that conference talk, Lumen's not completely gone. It's still going to be in play for things like reflections and things that are super expensive. This path tracing is mainly focused on lighting and bounced lighting and shadows and things like that, so Lumen's not 100% going away, but its role is going to be greatly diminished. And now, if you don't know what these words mean, Lumen and the Megalight system both leverage ray tracing, but they can do it through software if your system doesn't have the hardware for it. And the main thing that makes them different is that it is a deferred system. It's going to be looking at those rays over time, over multiple frames, and accumulating it. As well with this path trace mode, everything is 100% real time. Those lights are hitting in that frame. Maybe they're using some historical data to boost it and make it look a little bit better, but primarily you're going to be seeing live updates each frame with new rays getting bounced instead of the way that they did it in the past. But okay, so what does this mean for developers? Well, I don't think there's going to be a huge difference between Unreal 5 and Unreal 6. Like Tim Sweeney said, their main goal is to take Unreal Engine 5 and then the Unreal editor for Fortnite and combine them into one. They want to unify those ecosystems because I think that's really what they think the future of their engine and their company is to try to get everybody involved in this metaverse, to use Fortnite as a launcher, to kind of circumvent Steam and work around them so they don't have to deal with any more partners, and they can start making that cut off the games that they complain so much about getting on their own. So we'll see some graphical tweaks like this path tracing stuff that I'm talking about, and I'm sure there's probably a few surprises we haven't learned about, but primarily that's the focus for them as a company in terms of strategy. And then, like I said earlier, this brings the verse language into Unreal and makes it a full-fledged first-class citizen just like C++ was. So you can use it in your games as the scripting language if you don't know C++ or you don't want to spend the time dealing with all the headaches of C++. So presumably this is going to be a boon for developers, except for the fact they have to learn a whole new language. And this should mean that the barrier to entry is lower, that indie devs, people without a lot of experience, can jump in and start making games and programming their games beyond just blueprints without having to learn C++, which is a pretty complex language. And then once again, like I said a moment ago, cross-gen scalability is going to be a big deal here. You're going to be able to make games, get rid of baked lighting, and have path tracing on your high-end hardware, and then fall back to Lumen on your older hardware like the PS5. Now, the problem for Epic is that Lumen really gave them a leg up over the competition. It differentiated them from the other engines, Nanite as well, but that's not really the focus of this video. But when it comes to path tracing and ray tracing technology, anybody can do that. That's not proprietary. And so they're opening the door to have competition come and catch up with them with this move, right? Like, you're gonna have path tracing in Unity, you're gonna get path tracing in Godot, you're gonna have custom engines designed by different developers just for their game that's gonna have path tracing and ray tracing on. And so the abilities of Unreal are gonna be less and less unique over time as this becomes the standard. And so assuming you have hardware that's PS5 or better, you're going to be able to run some pretty amazing stuff in the coming future. And if you get a PS6 or you've got a higher end GPU, you're going to be able to turn on this path tracing mode and make it look incredible, like a pre-rendered movie. But until Epic reveals some more information about it, that's about all I have to say today. Pretty graphics are on the way. If you care about that, it's exciting. If you don't, maybe you hate this, you know? Tell me about it in the comments. Also, you know, do the usual stuff, like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video, if you want to see more of my content. I am personally pretty excited about this because, like it or not, 50% or more of AAA games are leveraging Unreal Engine now. And a lot of indies too. So this is going to have a huge impact on the game industry as a whole, and I can't wait to see what developers come up with using it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.